Hey guys, Modsy here, back with another video, and today, apologies if the audio is a little bit weird. I'm trying to do this with the microphone sort of off to the side so I've got as much room as possible here. But today we're doing another restoration video, and this one is going to be a rather cool card I got very recently. It actually only just arrived today, and it comes in a big green box. Let me just change, there you go, you might be able to see it a little bit better if you're familiar with who this is. So let's open up and see what we've got inside. Now I'm going to have to do this backwards so that you guys can see this properly. Comes in a nice padded box, and yoink! Oh, forgot that was there. Wow, oily fingers much. Holy crap! Although I don't, as you can see. Previous owner must have had Mountain Dew fingers, or Dorito fingers. Sorry. Anyway, as you can see, that's the sticker. I actually have already opened this because I wanted to make sure that it was what it was. This is off the fan. It actually fell off, so I stuck it on the manual because, well, I didn't want to lose it. So it is a XFX 8800 Ultra, but not just a normal 8800 Ultra. This is actually the XXX edition, so the slightly overclocked version of the card. So now I'm doing this completely backwards, so let me just, there's some accessories and bits and pieces, but I mean, you guys don't really need to see those. You've all seen them before if you've opened any kind of video card before, so yeah, let me just, okay, I'm actually going to flip this around this way. So yeah, it has the reference NVIDIA fan sticker on here, that's why I took the XFX one off. So yeah, this one's a little bit dusty, it's got some dust in the fan, but otherwise it's in a really good condition. This is not particularly one of the ones that I was looking for the collection, but a local seller here, well, he had it for a really good price. It was on eBay, and when I sent him an offer through, I kind of lowballed him a little bit, but he accepted the offer, and well, here it is. And you notice, if you've never seen one of these cards, or haven't really looked too closely at one, you'll notice that the fan is sort of off-center a bit and kind of sticks out over the edge of the PCB here. That was because it was more common for these higher-end models to be in multi-GPU configurations, like 3 and a 4-way. Whereas most people who bought the lower-end models of these cards usually only had a maximum of 2, because that just seems to be the demographic that they fell into. Whereas people that had unlimited money almost, who bought higher end models would have 3 or 4 of them, and when you have that many of them, they are often in slots up against each other with no gap in between. So the only way that these things can breathe is by offsetting the fan from the edge of the PCB so it can suck air in through this way. You might see in previous NVIDIA cards they've sometimes had holes in the PCB, or even newer cards like for instance the GTX 480 has little slots and holes in the PCB so it can suck air through both sides of the card. But this one, if I remember correctly, there's a sealed off, like if you follow this curve around, I know you can't visually see a curve, but if you imagine a curve that comes around to here, that's actually sealed off. So the cooler itself actually is that path, it follows that curve path. This part here is actually separate under my hand, so that from you can kind of see it's can't really see too well. But yeah, so today we're just going to strip this down, have a look at it, change the thermal compound, change the thermal pads if we need to, and take a look at what's under the hood. So let's get to tearing this down. So I must admit, guys, this card is in really good condition, given its age. These 8800s, I don't know, it just seemed, if these are, you know, well looked after, these cards don't get very dirty. Like, the back of the PCB is really nice and clean. The card itself is really nice and clean. But I've come to a rather awkward situation right now. That is that, as you can probably tell, this card requires quite a few thermal pads for all the VRMs here. There's the 12 bits of VRM for here, all of the RAM modules, and then this other chip which for down here, which I can't remember exactly what that chip actually does. I'll have to put a link on screen to see what that actually does. But anyway, I don't have the right thickness thermal pads for this. The other thermal pads that I actually have in here at the moment, so these are the thermal pads that I actually have left at the moment. I need to do some more ordering, but this is what's left of the thin one, and this is the, you can see they're not quite the same. This is thin, this is thick. This is too thick. I need these thin ones to actually go on everything here, and I don't have enough of them. So, and these ones are too thick. If I was to use these, for example, on everything that needs a thermal pad, it will actually lift this too far off of the, it'll have it too high off the PCB, and there won't be proper contact on the actual chip itself, because it'll be raised from all of the too thick thermal pads. So I'm not going to be basically using this just yet. I did do a very quick initial test just to make sure this worked, and it does, it's all good. But I'm not going to be putting any thermal pads or any thermal compound back on this until I order some more thermal pads. So I will do a update to this card in the future, because I'm going to be doing a retro history look at this card in the future, and I'll give you an update to sort of how it went in terms of putting it all back together with the right thermal pads and stuff. So for now, I'm just going to basically put it all back together so I don't lose any screws or anything, and just put this, because there is this heat spreader on top of the actual die, I am safe to put the cooler, mount it back on there with just the copper directly straight on this, because no damage is going to be done to the die or anything. And because there's no thermal pads on any of the other stuff when I put this on, nothing else will be touching. In fact, I'm going to put a very small thermal pad on here just to make sure that's protected when I put this back together again. But everything else will be fine, because it won't make contact with this when I put it together. And I'm not going to screw it together really tightly. So let's put it back together, and so you can see the final thing all back together. So the card is back together. It is all done. However, obviously, couldn't do any of the thermal pads or anything on it because I don't have the right thickness. So here it is. So it's all done. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.